Here are 3 deadly proposal mistakes that 99% of freelancers make and what you can do instead. Hey, this is Zach from Double Your Freelancing. In this video, we're going to talk about the 3 biggest proposal mistakes that I see freelancers making and what you should do instead. If you implement what you're about to learn, it should help you close more deals, have proposals that convert better, get more clients, all that good stuff. This is very, very important and can make a huge difference. So let's dive in. But before we do, I forgot to note, this video is originally from our new Double Your Rates Toolkit. As of recording, it just came out. Basically, that toolkit is a collection of templates, AI prompts, scripts, that kind of thing, to basically make it really fast and easy for you to get more clients and raise your rates. So if you see a different version of Zach in this video, it's because this video came from the toolkit. So if you want to check that out, it's at dyf.link/DYRT. Now, let's dive in for realsies. So the first mistake that I see the most, and is definitely the most common, is your proposal essentially being like a list of price tags, like a list of tasks with price tags attached. These are what are called features in the model of like features versus benefits. And without anchoring a feature to the benefit, it doesn't really have meaning. So if you say, I'm going to make you a WordPress website, that's too big of a task. Let's say I'm going to make your site mobile responsive for $1,000. That's not anchored to a benefit. And so whether or not it feels quote worth $1,000 to somebody is up to them. Whereas if you say, I'm going to make you a mobile responsive website so that you can make sure to capture mobile traffic on your store, because 70% of your store's mobile traffic, without a responsive website, they won't buy for $1,000. That wasn't very well said. I would, that would be more polished, but that's kind of the hack for features and benefits that I learned from this marketer named Zach Spuckler, is if you're having trouble attaching a feature to a benefit, what you can do is you can say feature so that, and then fill in the blank. So mobile responsive website so that, design you a new logo so that. So basically just trying to connect the thing that you're going to do to the benefit of doing it. The proposal template and scorecard will help you with this. We'll go into a bit more detail. But for now, that's the main thing I want to impart, is that you shouldn't just send a list of price tags. At least you shouldn't if you want to close a lot of proposals. You want your tasks to be rooted in the value they produce. And that's what the price is reflecting. Deadly proposal mistake number 2 is focusing on design over persuasion. So something I've noticed is that when I feel low confidence, like if I'm going to go do some presentation in someone's community, I always want to wear like a nice polo shirt and do my hair. I don't look like this. This is me feeling confident. But when I want to feel more confident, I put on a nice shirt, do my hair, and now I feel more professional. And I think that's part of the drive to having like a really highly designed proposal, is it just makes you feel more professional, because that's what all the real agencies do. But many of my proposals that turn into like 20 to 50, or even, I guess, over the course of it, like $70,000 projects are just text in an email. I don't think that the text in an email like converts better than if I had a pretty proposal. I think pretty proposals are cool, but the mistake isn't sending the pretty proposal. It's sending a pretty proposal that's not persuasive. If you're in the W Rates Toolkit Plus, the teardown I do of the Black Antelope agency proposal is a great example of this. It was gorgeous, but it wasn't actually very persuasive or compelling. So what to do instead is use the scorecard that's included in this module. It's in a couple lessons later, and use the template that we also teach, so that you can make sure that your proposals are still persuasive. And if you want to do something really pretty and designed, cool. If you want to just send text in an email like I do, cool, whatever you want. But don't skip all the persuasive stuff in favor only of a pretty design. Deadly proposal mistake number 3 is not closing on the sales call. Relying too much on the proposal to do the quote sales heavy lifting or closing heavy lifting. To me, the ideal world is that when you were on the sales call, you talked about the scope of the project, you talked about the benefits, you anchored the cost into the benefits. Like ideally, you talked a little bit about price on the call, and that the proposal doesn't really have to like quote do anything. It's just kind of formalizing the stuff that you already discussed live. If you can get to that point, your proposals will close really well, because you're not relying on them to actually persuade anybody. They're more like an asset that you can use to remind this person you spoke with of the value of the stuff you talked about, or give them something to show to other stakeholders on their team if they need to get others on board. But if they leave that sales call with you like, oh my gosh, I spoke with them, they're gonna do this thing, it's gonna be so cool, it's gonna make us all this money. Now all I need to do is show it to my co-founder to make sure he's down. And then they take this, give it to the co-founder, they're like, yeah, this actor is awesome, I think we should totally do this. That's much better than if it's like, you talked vaguely about how a website might help them, and then you said, okay, well, I'll send you an email later with some ideas of what I could do for you and what it would cost. To me, that's a missed opportunity. A little secret I'll let you in on is that I'm now at like over 14 years since I first started my freelancing business. And I still do not think that the closing section of the sales call is comfortable. I still find it kind of uncomfortable. It feels like, I don't know, it just doesn't feel natural to me. I don't feel like, yeah, you get it. It doesn't feel natural, comfortable, etc. And because of this discomfort, it is a human inclination to avoid that discomfort and take the path of least resistance. And gosh, sounds a lot less uncomfortable to just say, okay, cool, well, it was great talking. I'll send you an email and you can let me know if you want to do stuff. And I think that that's why a lot of freelancers do that. And it's why past Zach also did that. If you notice this in you, not feeling comfortable, quote, asking for the sale, not feeling comfortable, quote, closing, not feeling comfortable getting rejected live, and thus wanting to kind of put it into this depersonalized realm of email, I would encourage you to gently challenge that and try to practice actually closing on the sales calls. A closing flow that I usually like is that, let's say I'm chatting with them and let's say I'm talking about my conversion rate optimization, right? So I'm talking to them, I learned about their traffic, I learned they're a good fit client, and I say, cool, well, based on what I'm hearing, it looks like if I optimize your conversion rates, we can probably add an extra 20,000 subscribers a year to your email list, which based on your lifetime value should be about $100,000 of eventual revenue per year added from these folks. Does that sound like something you'd like to pursue? To which they say yeah, or not. But I mean, it would almost always be yeah. So they say yeah, and I say, cool. Do you want me to block off the time on my calendar to work on this project for you? The soonest availability I have is whatever. And then they might say yeah. And if they do say yeah, then I say, cool. The next step, I'll shoot you a deposit link. I'll shoot you a recap of everything we talked about here and a contract. And once you pay the deposit, I'll block off the time. That's kind of like one flow you could do. That's basically all the closing needs to be, is making sure they're on board for the broad solution. And if they are, saying, cool, do you want to have me do that thing? And then they say yeah. And they say, cool, here's what I need from you in order to do that thing, which to me personally is they pay their deposit and they sign the contract. Without those things, I don't want to carve the time out of my schedule. And I tell them as much so that they know to do these things. So take a few minutes and ask yourself, like, what's the least awkward closing flow you might do on a sales call? And maybe in that sales call template we were working on in the previous module, you could write a few bullets that are almost like your closing flow bullets, like recap the value, ask if they want you to do it, let them know the next steps. I think they're already in the template, but yeah, you could noodle on that a little. One note is if you go on a sales call and you end up mapping out like something totally new versus some service offering you've done a bunch of times before, you probably won't be able to actually create a bid on the spot if the project is complex. And if you're a DYRT plus person and you watched in the previous module my sales call teardown of my own sales call, that was one of the areas where I docked the most points from past Zach, is that he didn't really do a lot of like pitching and closing on the call. That was where I missed a lot of opportunity, honestly. And so I just wanted to say that if you are pitching something new where it wouldn't really be responsible for you to mention a price on the phone, that's totally fine. Don't feel like you have to do that. But just know that the more that you can concretely define while you're live, the less persuasive and the less like heavy lifting needs to happen in an asynchronous communication method, which is the ideal. Because if you're on the phone and you map out some scope and you see the client's face go like this, you can change it. If you send them an email, you will have no idea if their face does that and you can't change it. All you'll know is they never ever responded to you. So, recap of the 3 mistakes. Number 1, sending a big list of tasks with price tags. Number 2, focusing on design over persuasion. And number 3, not doing closing on the sales call. If you can master these 3, you're you're going to be ahead of like 99% of freelancers. So hopefully you found that helpful. Leave a comment below with which of these mistakes, if any, you have noticed in hindsight that you make in your proposals. I'd love to hear. And if you've managed to be in the 1% who doesn't make these mistakes, comment with that too, because go you. If you want to check out the toolkit, it's at dyf.link/DYRT. And thanks for being here. See you in the next video.